Now next let us start with the web services. Any idea on web services? What is web service? Now let me say web service, it is a piece of the software that will run on more than one system. For distributed platform of distributed technology, we will use web services. That is, you may have the piece of software that is installed, and that service is being consumed by more than one application. Let's say you have got PayPal. PayPal, it is a web service. Where the report, what we get, it is a web service. And you have written a code to book the show online, and that you need to provide it as a web service because you want that service to be accessible on mobile device as well as through the desktop application. Now, over here, if you want the service or if you want certain set of functionality to be accessible on different devices that are all together running different hardware and the software, then this can be done with the help of web services. So web services, basically it is a distributed technology. Under web services we have got two types, one is SOAP, the other one is REST. SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Protocol, JAX, and then uh, the newer one or the newer API is REST. So we'll be discussing both SOAP as well as REST. Now, as you see, okay, web services is available by the over internet and it is consumed by the application. Now, if you are creating a website, if you've created a website, the consumer of your website is the end user. If you have created a website and the consumer of the application is the end user. But if you have created a web service, the consumer or the client of the web service is not the end user. If you have created a web service, the consumer of the web service is not the client application. Sorry, it is not the client or it is not the end user, rather it is the applications that will connect to the web service. So the consumers of the web service is the application, not the users. Web service that can be written on any language. Web service, again, whichever language you find is the best to implement web service, you can write the web service in that language. Once the web service is written in a particular language, it can be hosted on the system. It can be hosted on the system. So web services basically promote interoperability. Interoperability is the feature wherein a system which are running all together and the different hardware and the software can communicate with each other. That is what we call as interoperability. So systems that are running all together, different hardware and the software, they can communicate. Over here, if you see, you've got the C++ application. So we've got a C++ application. This C++ application, this one, you've got a C++ application. And this C++ application is consuming the web service that is written, okay, it is consuming the Java web service as well as it is consuming the .NET web service. See, over here it is consuming the Java web service as well as it is consuming the .NET web service. Now, if you see web service, you've got but we have written a pretty nice code called get products, which is responsible for getting the code from the database. And for this, again, you have written an MVC application. That is your website you have created. And if a client wants to retrieve all the products, he has to access your website from where he can pull the details, get products. So this, let's say, okay, this has been coded by Hassan. Now, there is one more candidate called Joe or John. What he wants is he don't want to rewrite the code again. Whatever code has been written by the Hassan, whatever code is written by the Hassan, what he has done is he got this code as a jar file and he has installed on this server. So he is also using the same functionality as written by Hassan. Now, fine, it works well. But the problem what you get over here is, if in case Hassan is changing the code, if in case Hassan is changing the code, okay, over here if the code is changed, then again he has to repackage. He needs to get the jar file, install it in the application, and then repackage it. So this is what is required. So unless and until you get the updated copy, your application will not be up to the mark. So rather than this, what you have to do is you can go ahead with the web service. So rather than going with this, like you have written a code, you're getting the jar file, and then okay, you're deploying it onto the server. If in case if any update happens, again you need to get the jar file and then make the changes. This is a very tiresome process. Now, rather than that, what you can do is you can write your code and you can make your code available as a service. Means over here, if you're making your code available as a service, whoever is interested in can access it. Whoever is interested in can access the service. Let's say you've got one more client over here, and if this client is interested in accessing the service, then he can also access. Simple. It is as simple as that. Now, the terms what we have is consumer and interface, and then the web service implementation. Consumer is the end user who will make use of the service, and we publish the interface using web service implementation. So consumer you have, and then again you provide an interface, and then again you provide the implementation for the web service. Okay. Now simple. Next, XML WSDL web service definition language. XML WSDL web service definition language. Now simple. Generally, whenever over here, if you see, okay, if you have to, generally this is what we do. Whenever you want to provide your services to the end user, we create an interface. In general, when you want to provide or when you want to export your web service, what you do is you create an interface, and your consumer will get access to the interface. Consumer will get the access to the interface. Similarly, when you want to publish the web services, you will go with the WSDL, web service definition language. Contract definition of web service. You can say it is an interface. It is shared with the consumers, and it is a Java interface in the XML format. We'll have a look on this. Now, UDDI is Universal Discovery, Description, and Integration. Now, let's say you have written a service. You have written a service. You should post that service to UDDI. You should post that service to UDDI. As we have JNDI, Java Naming and Directory Convention, okay, JNDI as we have. The job of the JNDI API is the Java Naming and Directory Interface. Java Naming and Directory Interface. The job of the Java Naming and the Directory Interface is to look up for the objects and return it to the customer. The role of JNDI is to look up for the object that is being requested and return to the consumer. Similarly, universal discovery and universal discovery description and integration. So over here, similar to JNDI, your JNDI will look for the objects, whereas UDDI will look for the web services and return it to the user. Clear with this? The job of the UDDI
So,
is to fetch the service and return it to the user. Now,
so when
over
we use
here,
the JNDI and when we use the UDDI,
so
hello,
over here you've got Java, WSDL, and web service. Java, WSDL, and then web service. So Java is a programming language and WSDL is web service definition language.
can you hear me?
That is the services.
Hello.
1 minute, I think I need to increase the word. Yeah, hello, are you saying something, Hassan?
Yes. My question is when we use the JNDI and when we use UDDI.
Now look, UDDI. Now over here, when the client is requesting for the web service, when the client is requesting for the web service will be hosted on some XYZ server. Web service is hosted on some XYZ server. So the client should, let's say, okay, you have weather information service is hosted on some XYZ server. Now from your mobile client, you want to get access to that web service. So from your mobile client, when you want to get access to the web service, you will be making use of UDDI protocol to fetch the web service from your client application to the service which where it is stored onto the system. Clear with this?
Mm-hmm. And what about the JNDI?
No, JNDI, it is it is a server side. It works on the server side. It is responsible for looking up the objects. Java naming and directory interface, it is responsible for looking up the objects.
So when a client requests for weather data, so in that case it will look up for the objects in server.
Yes, JNDI is to look for the objects on the server side itself, whereas UDDI, it will look for the services over the internet.
Okay. And who is the consumer?
Consumer, in case of web service as well as JNDI, is the application itself. That is, you will write the code in the application to look for the JNDI. Let's say you are looking up for the database object, and whereas in the web service also, you are looking for the web service reference. So in both the cases, application is the consumer for UDDI and JNDI.
Okay.
Okay. But still you have web service definition language. Now, generally, if you want to publish your services to the end user, you will make use of interface. If you have remember EJB, there you have got interfaces. So if you want to expose the functionality to the end user, you will expose it via interface. Similarly, over here in the web service, if you want to expose the services, the functionalities that are offered by the web service, you need to expose them. So the services or the functionalities that are offered by the web service is exposed with the help of this web service definition language. Clear with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, XML, it is a language, it is a standard language for communicating between different systems that are running on altogether different hardware and the software. XML, it is a language that is used for exchanging the information on the platforms that are running all together, that are different on the different hardware and software. So you use XML. You use XML as the standard for exchanging the information. So we use XML as a standard for exchanging the information using SOAP protocol, Simple Object Access Protocol. Simple Access Object Protocol. Now then, okay, service endpoint. So once you get the service, then okay, you have got the service endpoint. And the service endpoint, it is act as an interface to the service endpoint, ACE. It converts the Java code to the SOAP messages. Now, over here what happens is, so when you are getting, where is the cursor? So when you get the web service, so this one, okay, when you get the web service, some code will be locally transferred over here. Some code will be locally transferred over here. So which whenever your application, whenever your service endpoint, it converts the Java code to the SOAP message. I'll show you how to do this. And now service endpoint. So whenever your application wants to access the web service, it does not access the web service directly. It will access your service endpoint. This service endpoint is responsible for converting the Java message to the SOAP message. The service endpoint is responsible for converting the Java code to the SOAP message, and then finally it accesses the web service. Now over here, now let us create a simple web service, Java, Java web, web application, next, web service, click next, click over here, click on source, you need to create a Java class. So you have good morning, good evening, good night. So now package, click finish. Simple. So this is what you have. class book ticket, something you're writing, and then just expose this as a web service. Now, once you're done with this, okay, this is what you require, okay, to make this available as a web service. New. Now let me run this. Oh, sorry. In order to run the web service, uh, the default client is provided by the NetBeans. You go to the NetBeans and click on this view admin console. Now, once you go over here, click over the application tabs, and then again you have got web service over here. Click this, and from this you have got this web service endpoint. Click over here. Now over here you have got the tester, and then you have got WSDL. So click over here, WSDL. So see, this is the web service definition. Clear with this? So over here, if you see, message name is equal to say hello. So the message name is say hello. Say hello response. So what does this and what response it should send? So for say hello request and then say hello response input and output. Clear with this? Now and then, okay, if you see over here,
Uh,
yes.
how the application is running is in the, we have to run in the, um, I mean, how did you run that application in XML file or?
Now you don't have to do anything, okay, the system will generate this XML. We don't write the code for this still. We are not writing this code for this XML. You write this web
Mhm.
service, they are the tools, okay, that will generate this code automatically. We have just written this. Once it is deployed, server is having the mechanism to generate the code for, to generate WSDL. We did not written the XML code. So we're just trying to. So over here, if you see, okay, you have got the service name. So your service name is Goodnight Service. And then the port name is Goodnight Port. And over here, if you see, okay, this is the location where it is present. Clear with this?
So when we, suppose we want to update anything to other service, or if we retrieve and save into our database, so how it works?
I did not understand your question.
Like
Can you
if we
repeat?
want to, if we client is trying to get some data and updating to the database,
Hmm.
so how it works in that case?
Okay, that we are going to discuss shortly.
Mhm.
So over here you have got this WSDL and then again you have got the tester. So this is the link you have, which the client will be accessing. This link, the client will have access to this link. See over here, if you click onto this, if you're checking this service, see. So SOAP request, this is your output. So your request is sent in the form of SOAP request and you get the response is sent in the form of SOAP. So we use XML and we use XML for exchanging the messages and the protocol what we are using is SOAP protocol. Now this is okay, over here the GlassFish server, it provides the default client to test for the web services. Now let us click, okay, over here we have created this. Now let's say your Java application is the client. Click another, web service and then web service client. Click next. The project. So this is our web service. Click OK. And click finish. Now over here if you see, when you have imported, service is imported over here, the goodnight service, the goodnight port is hello. So port is the communication point. If you see over here, you've got the goodnight service. Okay, this is the WSDL and this is the service name what you have and this is the port and then say hello. Port is, you can say it is a communication point. Now, it has generated this WSDLs And then if you click onto this services, see, if you just provide the URL, if you just provide the URL, it is generating all this. This is what you call it as service endpoint. See, a request you have, the XML message which you are having, it is converting it into the Java. Over here if you see web service visitor, so this is the message what it has in the XML format. This is what it has in the XML format. So after it gets that message in the XML format, it is converting this into the Java code. You have got a command called wsimport that is responsible for doing this. See over here. Where is visitor located? See where is the visitor located. So this will have the location. So this we have already discussed. Service name is here the service name and the port name, book tickets port binding, and in the location it is specified. See over here types you have message, get your names, get your name response, book tickets, book ticket port binding, and then the book ticket service. Now if you expand this, this is what it has generated, XML. But you don't have to write all this code. There is a tool that is called as wsimport, web service import, that will do all this job.
Uh, I think your screen is not showing.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Oh,
So over here you've got something called contract versus service. Contract is your interface and service is the implementation of the contract. So most of the time, okay, we write the interface first, then we write the implementation for the service. So contract is the interface. Let's say for this itself, new so over here implements GN. Let me copy this. So this is so whenever you're doing, first you write the contract, and this is the contract is the interface only. So first you should write the contract, and then okay you should develop the interface. Now over here, contract is your whistle. Contract is your whistle. So first you write whistle, and then like you need to write the service for that. So contract versus service. So contract is the interface and service is the business logic. So first you should write the interface and then you should write the business logic. Because the reason is the services of the web services, the functionalities of the web service is exposed to the client via WSDL, is exposed to the client via WSDL, web service definition language. So if you are changing your web service every now and then, if you're changing the WSDL, that is web service definition language, every now and then the client application, whoever is your consumer, need to change the code every now and then. I repeat, if you are changing the WSDL, if you're changing the definition of the interface every now and then the client who are accessing your web service have to change the WSDL code every now and then. In order to avoid this, what we do is we write the contract first and then freeze it. We write the contract first, that is WSDL. WSDL is an interface and it is called as contract. We write the contract first and then freeze it. So that whenever you are changing the web service, your contract will not have any effect and obviously the client need not change their code. So that is the reason. First you need to write the contract and then write the implementation for the service. This we have already done. So over here for web service, you have to do one thing. You don't have to write any code. You just have to annotate the class with @web service. That's it. Java application 10, new web service client, project specify, click finish. So if you see over here, it is creating the web service client. It is importing it. CWS import. Next, what we have is REST web services. So SOAP is the older one and REST is the newer one. REST stands for Representational State Transfer. Its concepts, okay, they are very closely related to the HTTP concept. That is, you will send a request using GET and then put, post, delete, all these operations you will find. And HTTP is used by many of the web pages to send a request and to receive a response. Now, generally in the HTTP, what you have is the client will send the request to the server using HTTP, and the client and the server will send a response to the client using HTTP response. Now, the person who has written the code or developed this web services is Roy Fielding. He is the author of the REST specification. He has designed all the REST specification, and he was the key contributor when he was designing in the design of the HTML and the setting the standards for the HTML. Now, HTTP stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is a way to exchange the information, and the reason we call it as hypertext is because the text has got links embedded within it. The reason we call hypertext is because the text, it has got the links embedded within it. You click on the link, it will take you to the another page. And REST API have URI and then the addresses. REST API you have URI and addresses, so we shall be discussing this. So the client URI, it stands for the resource locations. So the client and the server you have, this client will send the data to the server and server will send the client. Now HTML response to display the weather information has CSS style, etc., etc. Now over here if you see, simple. Now this, whenever you're going with the web services, you're not going to format anything. You just get the data. You request for some information, you get the data. Let's say you have requested for the weather information and you got the weather report. Now this weather report, it has to be presented to the client. So the weather report has to be presented to the client. So to present the weather report to the client, it has to be formatted. You need to have images, something. Okay, these are all images. But what you get from the web services, 10 degree, Tuesday, this one, only this data you will get. But if you want to present it, then you require HTML to format. HTML, CSS we require to format and present the data. Is this clear? So your web service is not going to present the data, it is just going to send the information. Your application has to process the implementation and then present it to the user. Now over here you have REST API for the weather services, has the data that is represented in JSON or XML format. So when the server is sending the data from the server to the client, it sends the data into format. One is JSON, the other one is XML. JSON, it stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and XML, it stands for Extensible Markup Language. So when you're writing the web service, and when you want to send the data from server to the client upon the client request, then there are two ways in which the data can be sent to the client. One is JSON, the other one is XML. Now, let's say you are having a website. Let's say we are having a website. So website name is weatherapp.com, and within that you are having a resource called weather lookup. Within that you are having a resource called weather lookup.do, and then the zip code what you are providing is 12345, which means your request is going to weatherapp.com. Within that, okay, you have a resource that is weather lookup, and the parameters you are passing is for the zip code 12345. This is how you send a request to the web server in case of servlets. Now in resource-based API, your zip code is a resource. Over here, rather than writing the servlet, there the servlet is the resource. Over here, your zip code is the resource. Now over here, zip code. So you are requesting for, clear with this? Country is clear with this?
Yes.
And this is a parameter. 12345 is your zip code. 56789. Country what you're looking for is USA. So in the resource based URI, this is how you will design the URIs. Now the HTTP method what you have is get, put, post, and then delete. Get is used for getting the information. Put is used for putting the information into the server, and post is to create a resource, and delete is for deleting information. We'll be using all this. So you have got HTTP status code, and then successful, where if it is successful it will send the status code as 200 and the response is OK. And if it is error, 500, and then that represents a server error. So you have got all the standard status code that are implemented by the REST API to handle the client request. Clear with this? Now,
Yes.
message headers. Client and server can exchange the information in any format. Content information is recorded in HTTP headers. So that is when you are sending the response from the server to the client, or when the client is sending the response from client to the server. You may, it is obvious you are using the HTTP protocol in order to, sorry, so protocol, HTTP protocol you are using in order to send and receive the information. And but the body, the payload, will contain the information either in the XML format or in the JSON format. Now over here, simple, how to design the URIs. You need to design the URI all by yourself. Now over here you're designing a messenger application where you have got post message, like message, and profile information. Now one user, he can send the multiple messages. Onto the messages you can have a comment, you can have like, and you can share the messages. And user again will post the comment. User can post a message or the user can post a comment. And then for the message you may that may be again reposted, you may like it or you may share it. This is what we have. So over here the resources what we have is user is the resource, message is the resource, your comment is the resource, like is resource, and share is a resource. So you need to design this. So if you want to get a message ID, so in the servlets you do get message dot do dot id equal to 10, or retrieve message dot action id is equal to 10. This is how you will generate, or this is how we create a web application URI. Now, static websites, it has got the web pages that has got the dedicated link to it. That is tom.html, mike.html, test.html, etc. Now, static profile pages, that is you are having a folder, you are having a resource by profile, and within that okay, to store the profile information about Tom, you have created a separate page, tom.html. And to store the information about Jack, you have created a separate page, that is jack.html. And to store the information about Faye, you have created a separate page, that is faye.html. So on the web server, if you want to access, how do you do is profile slash Tom, profile slash Jack, profile slash Faith. This is how we access. This is ensure profile slash profile name. This is how you design the URI and the web applications. Now similarly, over here in the your RESTful API, whenever you're designing, the URI will have the same name as that of the resource, messages slash message ID. That is okay. From the message resource, you are looking for the message ID with 1. Within the message resource, you're looking for the message ID with 10. So RESTful URI name should be nouns. It should have a verb slash action at a spool. That is messages, profiles, likes, comments. And they're not dependent on any of the framework. They are plain old Java classes. So this is what we have. Resource URI for relations. So what do you understand from this? So you have got comments and then you have got messages. You have got this one is messages. Within this message, you are having the comment section. See, so this is the messages. Now this is the messages. This is the message one. This is message one. What you're writing over here, message one, and within this, okay, you're having comments slash two. So what are you trying to do is you are requesting for the message that is posted. Sorry, you are requesting for the second comment that is posted by the user one. Are we clear on this?
Yes.
So if you see over here, message slash message ID, comment slash comment ID. That is, you are requesting for the message two that is posted by the user one under messages. So directly you get this one, messages slash message ID or profile slash profile name. This is called as first level. And then messages slash message ID slash comment ID. This is called as second level. Clear with this?
Mm-hmm.
See over here, this is level 1. Message.message ID is level 1. Message.message ID, within this, okay, you're going to one more level, that is comments. From here to, so comments will come under second level, whereas messages will come under first level. Is this clear?
Yes.
So this is how you will be generating all your URLs. So
Atika, in the URL we see like question mark and then message ID equal to and all that, right?
yes.
Will it not be generated in that format?
No. This is for our web applications.
Okay.
This way we do it for a web application. We are just using this. This is how we do it in the web applications. In the web application, this is the resource get messages.do. This will point to some servlet, some controller. And then the parameter what we are passing is ID is equal to 10. Now, if you have to do this with the web services, what we do is profiles is your resource name and the parameter is the Tom. Profile is the resource name and parameter is Tom. Clear?
Okay.
It is the same way, but you can say the syntax is different. So the way we
Okay.
design the URI in web application is different from the way we design the URI in web services. See, so instance-based URI we have, and then the collection-based URI. Instance-based URI is the single one, okay? This one, okay? This you can say it as an instance-based URI. That is, you are accessing a specific comment. You are accessing a specific comment. Now, rather than accessing the specific comment, I want to access all the comments that are posted by user 1. That is, you should be able to access comment 1, comment 2, and then the comment 3. So it should return you 3 comments. If you are accessing a particular resource in specific by specifying the ID, then you call it as an instance-based URI. When it comes to the collection-based URI, it should return you all the messages. So slash messages if you write, and if you don't provide the resource name, okay, you're just providing the resource name, and if you're not passing the parameter, then it will access all the messages. So if you say messages slash two slash comments, then all the comments that are posted by the user two. Clear with this? So from here, now look, if you just say messages slash one, means okay, you should get all the messages. And if you say messages slash one slash comments, means it should return 1, 2, 3. If you're specifying, okay, if you don't specify this number, then it should return you all the messages, that is 1, 2, and then 3. If you're specifying the number, then it will return you that specific message. So it may either return you the collection of comments or it may return you a single comment. It depends. So in this case, /2 means that it's going to return you a single comment. If you remove this /2, if you remove this parameter, then it will return you all the comments that are posted by the user 1. Now next, you have got filters result and then the pagination. So filtering the result is done with the help of pagination using the query parameters. We will discuss this. So you have got message and what you're having is offset is equal to 10 and limit is equal to 10. Means you should start at 10 and from 10 you should get the next 10 messages. So offset is the starting point. Start the message at message number 10 and limit is fetches 10 messages starting from 30. Starting from 10. Clear with this?
Yes.
This you can easily map when you are retrieving the email. Let's say if you have got 1,000 emails in your inbox, it is not going to retrieve all the 1,000 emails. It retrieves first the most recent from 1 to 25. And then again when you click onto the next button, it gets from 26 to 30. So this concept is called as pagination. So, and then filtering retrieves the messages based on the date. Year is equal to 2014, offset is equal to 10 and limit is equal to 10. So if you're having multiple parameters, they can be separated by ampersand. So you want to get all the messages, you want to get 10 messages from the year 2014. Is this clear?
Yes.
So you have got instance-based URI is a specific resource. Collection-based URI is you will get the collection, the complete collections, and query parameter to achieve pagination and then filtering. Now HTTP methods. Get we have. So this is the action-based URI and this is the resource-based URI. So in the action-based URI, you will get messages.do ID equal to 10 and get message /10. Now, the type of methods what you have is get, post, delete, and then put. But for over here in HTTP methods, in our web application design, we write a separate servlet for each. So if you see over here, if you have to get the message using the get, you are writing get message.do. If you have to post the message, you're using a different URL or different resource, post message.do. If you have to use, if you have to delete a message, then you are using a different URL, that is delete message. If you have to update the message, then you are using the different URL, that is update. So in short, if I say you have got 4 operations, CRUD, create, read, update, and then delete. For create, you will be using insert, and for update, you will be using put, and then for delete, you use delete. And if you want to create a resource, you will use post. If you just want to get the resource from the server, you will use get. Clear with this?
Yes.
No. Till it is done. So, so to create a new message, a request is made to the collection URI, that is //messages. To create a profile, you need to make a request. To create a new resource, use a post. Response is the message ID. So post means if you want to create If you want to create a new record, then the HTTP method what should be used is post. If you want to retrieve a record, then the HTTP method that should be used is get. If you want to post a record, sorry, if you want to create a record, then the HTTP method to be used as post. If you want to retrieve a record, then the HTTP method to be used as get. Let's have a look on this. So over here, method, if it is get slash messages, I was going to get all the messages. If it is delete, message slash 10 slash comments, means delete all the comments of message 10. If it is get slash message, it will get you all the messages. Post, message slash 10 slash comment. That is, a new comment is posted for message number 10. I repeat, post, message slash 10 slash 10 means a new comment is created for message number 10. Put is, it is like replace all the comments for the message 20 with replacement as update, or put as equivalent to your update. Now, the get is clear as well as put is clear. And sorry, get and delete is clear. Get and delete. Get is if you just want to request for a resource. Delete is you have got some better opportunity. This is what we have, get and then delete. But now let us understand what is the difference between the put and the post. Put is for update and post is to create a new resource on the server. Now, what is the difference between put and the post? Now, let's say if your Java count is equal to 100, count is equal to 100. Methods are repeatable versus not repeatable. Now, this is repeatable, okay? Multiple times you are updating count is equal to 100. Even though it is repeated multiple times, it will not change the data onto the server side. Means it is not going to have any effect. Delete. Making repeated calls to delete. Now, if you are making repeated call to delete, does not make any change because the message is deleted, delete is safe. Clear with this?
Yes.
Generally what happens is once you have deleted the record, done, and again if you press the refresh button, it sends the same request to the server. That is, again it will send a request to delete the record onto the server. So if the delete statement is being executed multiple times at the server side, then you don't have any side effects. I repeat, if the delete statement is repeated multiple times on the server side, then you don't have any effect. So that is the reason we say delete is safe. Now, let's say you're making a transaction. You're making a transaction and like when you're making some payments, generally it says do not refresh the page until the transaction is complete. Do not refresh the page until the transaction is complete. So what happens over here is if you refresh the page multiple times, it will again send a request to the server and that will be initiated as a new transaction. I repeat, when you click on the delete button, if it has been deleted, and again if you are pressing the refresh button, that is, you now, first you have clicked on the delete button, it has sent a request to delete a resource on the server. Second time, I'm not clicking on the delete button, I'm just clicking on the refresh button. So if you click on the refresh button, it will send the last request again to the server. If you click on the refresh button, it is going to send the last request again to the server. That is, the server will again try to perform the delete operation on the server side. So because the record is already deleted, if delete request is being sent multiple times, it does not have any net effect on the business services. Now, whereas in case of post is responsible for this one message. Every time a post is made, it creates a new message. Data on the server is inserted. It is not safe to make multiple calls using the post method because you are creating one resource. As you said, let's say you are sending a transaction, you have initiated a transaction using the post method. Once transaction has been initiated for T1, and if you again click on the refresh button, it will initiate a new transaction, that is T2. So you have got two transactions, T1 and T2, and that is not safe. Let's say, okay, you are creating a banking application and you are submitting the application data, the bank details with the help of post. An amount of 2000 is going to be detected. Amount of 2000 is detected. So when it comes to post, first time 2000 is detected. Again, if you click onto the refresh button, it will send a request to the server for the second time, and again 2000 will get detected. Clear with this?
Yes.
So idempotent idempotence is the property of certain operation in mathematics and computer science that can be multiple times without changing the result beyond the initial application. Clear with this?
So what is that idempotent?
Idempotence is, that is, if you are sending the request multiple times, net effect is zero. That is, first time if you're sending the delete request, the record is deleted onto the server side. And again, if you press the refresh button, it sends the delete request one more time onto the server side. What you will do, what you will get, it will just try to delete the same record, and you will get the message, record already deleted. So it is something like this. Mm,
I mean, it will prevent to delete or update the record
no.
second time.
You cannot prevent. Generally what has happened is, so you have got database, right? And then let me go over here. Now let's say you're having a table called product. Add column, product ID, numeric size 1. And then you have got one more thing, product name. Click OK. And where is that? Okay. So click over here. let's say okay, you're having these 3 products. Take okay. Done. Now we say this is item coding. That is, if in case if you are now this is request 1, no effect, right? Net effect is 0. It is not changing any data onto the server side. And if you click one more, net effect is 0. It is not changing the data onto the server side. Now let's say okay, you have got update product set name is equal to name is equal to HDD, where PID is equal to 3. Now over here what do we mean is, now over here client is sending the request. So when the client is sending, now over here select star from product you have, and then update product set product name is equal to HTT, where PID is equal to 1. Now the client is sending the request multiple times. Run selection. So even though the client is sending the request multiple times, okay, you don't find any net effect. Net effect is 0. Clear with this?
Yes. Yes.
Now if in the case, okay, let's say it is delete from product, where product ID is equal to 1. So this request you are sending it for the first time. Right, when you're sending this request for the first time, it is deleted. Now you're sending the request. First time it is deleted. Now let's say you're pressing the refresh button. So if you press the refresh button, it is sending the request again. One, right? It is sending the request again. So even though it is sending the request again, you don't find any difference. Where is the output? Right? Even though the request is being sent multiple times, it is not going to have any effect on the database. Clear with this?
Yes.
So that is what is called as idempotent. If you're sending the request multiple times, it will not have any effect on the database. But whereas in case of insert, so whenever you're going with the post, it is going to perform insert statement. So insert into product values. Let me keep it as 4 and then XXX. Now if this is executed multiple times, it is going to generate those many records. So now if you see this, view data. Clear with this? Each time a request is being sent, it actually makes changes into the server. So idempotent, that is not, it is not idempotent. Idempotent is it will get executed only on the first time, and on the subsequent execution, then you'll not have any effect on the server. Whereas if you see in case of post, the moment you try to execute, it is trying to insert a record into the server. So if you're pressing the refresh button, that is when you press this refresh button, the last request will be sent to the server again. So I will again create a record onto the server. Clear with this?
Yes.
So that is what we say, create. One is idempotent, the other one is non-idempotent. So this are idempotent, that is they'll not have any effect. Post is non-idempotent. So resource creation should be non-idempotent, insert, and then update, delete, input should be idempotent. Clear with this? Browser protects from submitting duplicate requests by prompting the user with an information message. Do you want to resubmit the form again? So that is why whenever a transactions are in progress, you receive a message from the server, do not refresh the web page, transaction is in progress. Because if you refresh the web page, it will send one more request to the server. Clear with this?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Then we'll wind up the discussion for today. And then tomorrow we'll start with, I think, yeah, JSON. Tomorrow we'll start with this JSON.
JSON is a part of REST API.
JSON, you cannot say it is a part of REST API. JSON is a part of REST API in the sense it is used for sending and receiving the output. This way. Over here, this is the response that is sent from the server to the client. So you can send the response either in the JSON format or see, over here you're sending the response in the JSON format, and over here you are sending the response in the XML format. So you can send the response.
REST you can use JSON or XML.
Yes, it is your choice. You can either send it in the XML format or you can send it in the JSON format, or you can send in the both the formats, XML as well as JSON.
Mhm.
Okay. So this is the rest. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow.
I had one question like for Hibernate, can we get an example with like we'll input data in the form like in the JSP?
Yes. We have to. I missed that. Integrating Hibernate with Spring. Yes, we'll do that. I
Okay.
got it. Okay. Yeah, we missed that topic. Integrating Hibernate with Spring. Okay, we'll do that tomorrow. Fine.
Oh. Mhm. Thank you.
Okay, chalo. So see you tomorrow.
Okay. Take care.
Okay, bye bye.
Mhm. Bye.